can figure it. Hey, I figured it out.
What's up?
How you doing, man? How are things?
I'm just trying to figure out how to set this phone stand. I never use them. So, there we go. So what were you saying? I heard you were saying something, but I wasn't really sure what you were saying.
I was trying to give a little heads up on what we were going to talk about today.
Oh yeah, it's been our mission to move all over New York State. Like I've had the plan so far in like 4 different parts. This is the 4th area in New York State we're going to be working.
I was going to say my first visit to you was in your first location in Brooklyn.
Yep. And then we went to Fulton County, New York. And then we came down to Tuxedo Park, and now we're in Warwick. And eventually I'm going to make my way up to Buffalo, and I'm just going to stay there.
But okay, so that's the geography lesson about New York. But let's talk a little bit about the business side. So you started a company called EMVI almost 15 years ago, 13, 20 years ago. I don't even know anymore.
12 years ago.
12 years ago, and that was a company designed around 3D molding primarily, right?
Yeah, it was like the idea was just create a whole bunch of really cool holiday stuff and sell it to like a gazillion stores around the country. And that's what we, like basically I didn't really want to make 100 different products. I wanted to make one product, but like 100,000 of that one product.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah. And that's kind of what happened in a way.
Right, and so, I mean, we met because you added some sell-me equipment, but you were making turkeys at Thanksgiving and Santas and snowmen at Christmas and bunnies at Easter time for the most part.
Man, Easter bunnies are so popular, people just love them. At one point, I was spending 6 months out of the year just making Easter bunnies.
But these aren't just Easter bunnies. I mean, you guys were doing 3-dimensional hollow bunnies with 47 different colors. Well, at least 3 different colors in most environments, right? I mean, anything from this big up to, you know, you had bunnies that were almost 2 feet tall.
Actually, I think the biggest Hans Brunner mold that Tomric sells that I own is about 350 millimeters, which is it 350 or 500 millimeters, like 26 inches.
Yeah, so that's like, 500 millimeters.
Yeah. So, I mean, cool. Imagine when you fill all of that with like cotton candy. You have like enormous cotton candy bunny. You smash it and it's full of cotton candy.
I didn't realize you did a cotton candy bunny.
I mean, I've done a bunch of them. I wasn't able to wholesale them, and I wasn't really able to promote them because I never got any good at promoting the website. But we've put all kinds of stuff on them.
But where'd that idea come? I mean, not where did the idea of a 3-dimensional bunny come from, but where did it come from for you? I mean, because you weren't doing chocolate, right?
So about what, 13, 14 years ago, something like that, me and my wife are on a date. I mean, we're on a married date. Like, we're married already, we're together. We're just like walking around downtown Brooklyn, and all of a sudden she points at this place and she goes, "Oh my God, it's Jack Torres, Jack Torres." And I'm like, "What's Jack Torres?" Like, "You don't know? He's like the most famous chocolatier in New York." You know, the buffoon that I was, I knew girls like flowers, I knew they like perfume. You know, we walked into the store, I got taken for a quick $100. At that point, I was taking jobs and I had a help wanted. So I didn't really pay much attention to the help wanted at that time. But I kept hearing about chocolate from my wife the next week. Eating like one.
Hey, Victor, I'm going to interrupt. Lift your phone off the table somehow.
Better?
Much better.
Okay, so
we can hear you.
You couldn't hear me before?
No, I heard you got taken for $100 and then it went south.
And then I just kept hearing for like for weeks about, "Oh my God, that was the best chocolate. It was so great. Blah, blah, blah." Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Where did I cut off?
I don't know. We heard that you do about perfume and flowers, but you like, so you go to the chocolate store.
Yeah.
You go to Jack Torres's.
I had no idea that girls like chocolate. So all the excitement that I saw from my wife afterwards, I was like, you know what? It could be good for our relationship if I go work for a guy for a while. So I went in there, put application in. You know, I get a call back, and never did chocolate in my life before. The chef was very hands-on back then, so he comes out, he looks at my ID, and he says, "Oh, you live in Shipshead Bay?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "The ocean is over there." I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Do you go fishing?" Now, today, if you look at my phone is half pictures of chocolate and half of fishing. But like 14 years ago, it was all pictures of fishing, nothing else. So I pull out my phone, I go, "Do I go fishing? Take a look at these." I had the job in like literally in 15 minutes. My interview was over. I mean, I had to be driving him nuts for the first few months because I had no clue. I had no food service background. I had no chocolate background. I just went in there. I was like a bull in a china shop. Anything I touched was like either broke or stopped working. So I mean, yeah. So it took a little while, but getting back to the hollow chocolate, part of like I have way too much energy just to like sit still. So part of what I was doing is I was like, "Chef, can I also help you with some sales? Can I sell some chocolate?" He's like, "Yeah, sure. Take some samples and I pay a commission, whatever. Just like take them to some stores, see what happens." So I took the train down to Brooklyn. I walked out with samples, and by the time I walked home from the train station, I had over $5,000 in orders. This was for Easter, of Easter bunnies. So I was like, wow, this could be really lucrative. In the fall, I went back for like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I kept getting, I got like another 20 grand worth of orders. Now, I don't know nothing about selling. I don't know nothing about making. I'm just walking in with these like figurines, and people just want to buy them. So I told him, I was like, "Man, we should make more molded stuff. We could really sell a lot of it." And he was like, "Nah, I like making, bonbons." I was like, "But we should really make more molded stuff." So I kept pestering him. He got annoyed. He's like, "You know what? If you want to do this, you start your own company. Then you can do whatever you want." So I was like, "Okay." So,
So basically, you pissed off Jacques Torres
uh,
enough that he told you to steal ideas from him and start your own company.
we're not gonna say steal because it wasn't really
You're
steal.
right. Stole's not the right word. I'm sorry. But you.
It was, you could say, inspiration. I was inspired by him. I was actually inspired by him a lot. He taught me how to be not only a better chocolatier, how to be a better person. Like, I mean, this guy, anyone watching right now, you could walk into his factory, you can ask him any question, you can ask for any kind of help, and you will never get a no. It's like crazy.
Which is interesting because that's not his MO, right? Like if you kind of like he's got this reputation of being that sort of persnickety French guy, but the only time I've ever spent time with Jacques been like ridiculously kind and funny and affable and like a great guy. But he's got this reputation that he's kind of a bit of that French chef thing, right?
I don't know where he got the reputation from. I've literally, after leaving him for a year and opening a competing business, I called him and I said, "Chef, what am I doing wrong? I'm going bankrupt." The guy literally gave me his custom pricing on chocolate. He literally gave me accounts. He literally gave me tips how to do stuff, and he ordered from me on top of that. I mean, you don't get nicer than that as a
Right.
person in business. I mean, that's
Agreed. I mean, that's my point. I guess I think that like my only I've told you the story, but I haven't told everybody the story. But my first Jacques Torres story is at the New York Chocolate Show forever ago, longer ago than I want to admit. And they've like said that nobody can leave the floor early, right? Like you can't close your booth down early. There's nobody in the place, but you have to stay or you won't be welcome back. And the company that I'm working with is like, "We're out of here," right? So I've got our cart and I'm rolling it out, and the security guard stops me at the door, and he's like, "You can't leave yet." And Jacques is right behind me, and I'm like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm leaving, and what are you going to do? He's like, "Well, I might have to stop you." And I'm like, "I guess you're going to have to stop me." And like, I roll my cart around and I roll out the back door. And Jacques then follows me, right, with his cart of stuff. And he looks at me and goes, "Thanks, because I really didn't want to get into a fight with that guy, this huge security guard." And I'm like, "Just do what we got to do, chef." And he thanked me, and off he went to his wherever. But that was my first Jacques Torres story. But you're right. He's somebody else just commented. He's an incredibly generous and kind man. And I don't know where that reputation came from.
I really couldn't tell you because again, I know several people I met through the years in the business that literally, I couldn't help them. I told them to call him and he helped every single time. Like you can be an unknown, walking through the door, say, "Hi chef, how are you? I'm trying to do chocolate. Can you help me?" And he will go beyond talking to you. He will actually help you. Like he will help, a mentor helps a student, you know, like you'll get good help. So that's pretty rare. And I mean, so I mean, that's.
So anyway, you're in Brooklyn, apparently losing money until Jacques helps again. Spinning lots of rabbits.
Getting a ton of business, man, a ton of business and losing money because, you know, paying too much for chocolate, can't negotiate a proper contract, losing a ton of labor. I opened this place. I spent 60 grand with turmeric and equipment. I had no idea how to temper chocolate. You know, some of my stuff coming out under tempered. It's coming out broken. You know, I was literally calling us the 2-timing chocolate factory the first year we were open because we did everything twice. Like, I mean, so it was. I mean, it was horrible. It wasn't a fun experience. But through all that, you know, all of a sudden the clients are pouring in out of nowhere. People start calling, and you know, I get like somehow I score the entire regional Whole Foods, every single store. You know, as soon as the stuff hits their shelves, I start scoring like other big names in the area. Not going to throw them around now, but like literally every big name you can imagine, all of a sudden is calling me because they're seeing stuff on Whole Foods shelves. So we don't even know how to produce this stuff yet, and we have so much work lined up that we can't keep up. You know, and then like a couple of big national chains kept calling, and we're like, we're buried in work. You know, it was just, I had to learn how to temper chocolate really, really quick. I had to learn how to understand how to do this stuff because otherwise it wasn't going to happen. So, you know, kind of learned.
Well, I think if memory serves me too, you've got a wife in medical school while all this is going on, right? You have little kids at home.
And
what's going on?
More on the way, you know, constantly. What you met me, I only had one. I have 3 now, and they're pretty old. So this was happening all at the same time.
Right.
But I mean, so it was just like very wild, you know, no life, just work.
But you turned it around. I mean, is that a fair way of putting it? Like you figured it out, and you figured out how to make at least a little bit of money, and how to fulfill orders at least, right?
Listen, I would say by the 3rd year of us doing this, we became a machine. We literally 100% of our product was perfect quality. We had no issues with under tempering, over tempering. We had no issues with decorating. We had labor down to a science. We literally by 3rd and 4th year, I was producing with 3 people what I was producing with 10 my first year. It was just incredible. And that's while really not working more than 8 hours a day, just like chilling, cruising through it. So it really got pretty good for a while. You know.
But then you had to move.
Well, I mean, I moved to a facility 4 times the size of my Brooklyn facility. I didn't just move. I mean, we moved to a beast. At that point, for the first 3 years, we were doubling every single year our production. And when we moved to the Adirondacks, we had a nice facility. We had a nice loading dock. We were ready to go everywhere we had to go, and our volume was growing tremendously. And then as soon as we moved, things kind of began to change in the industry a little bit. I mean, I'm not complaining. We still maintain good volume, but a lot of the vendors started paying a little worse. Some of the orders started dropping off because the company started getting too big. They didn't want to give us too much focus. So things kind of evened out. So we moved to upstate New York, to the Adirondacks, and now, you know, we're still doing the same volume in a much bigger facility. So we're very comfortable, but we're not growing anymore. So now we're raising kids and we're enjoying our life kind of, and going fishing, and you know.
I was going to say going fishing.
Yeah, chilling. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's, you know, sometimes going to Buffalo for classes, you know, taking a nice class with Tom Rick, I think 2 years ago. That was a really great class. The Chris Harvey class. That was a really fun class. And then I came up a couple more times just to like see you guys. So that was cool. It's good to be in mid-state. You could go visit all your friends all over the place.
But I mean, you moved for a bunch of reasons. I mean, some of them were personal. Some of them had really had nothing to do with the business. I mean, you
Yeah.
needed more space, but so at somewhere in there, you started to try to do some things other than 3D molding too, if I remember correctly.
You know what happened when we got into our store, when we moved to our big facility in the Adirondacks, there is very few people, but there's also really no businesses. So the locals, they kept trying to get in every day and see what's going on. They were like chocolate factory, and some of the locals started getting upset that, oh, this guy's a snob. He doesn't want to let anyone in. He doesn't want to deal with the community. So we opened a little pop-up store. And the little pop-up store was only open from about Halloween till Easter. And during that time, we just literally opened the doors. We made some chocolate-covered Oreos. We made some barks. You know, we put our molds out, and people started coming in buying stuff, and it became pretty popular. Actually, became very popular for the amount of people that we had there. I had people driving from 70 miles away, but there were recurring items people kept asking for. People kept asking for toffee. People kept asking for caramels. People kept asking for ganache. People kept asking for cream. I wasn't equipped to make all these things. So, but people are coming in asking, and why do I have the store if I'm not gonna try to make my customers happy? So little by little, I started learning, started taking class here, class there, practicing, making some really, really terrible ganache for starters. That thing was going grainy, that thing was under-tempered, it was too thick. There were like so many bad, I kept tossing it in the trash. Literally from the moment I tried making the first ganache to the moment I sold the first box, it took me like 6 months. I was so embarrassed to try to give people my chocolates. I was so critical of them. So, um, so that's how it kind of developed into, eventually I think I started making a pretty decent product. Now I'm very happy with it. So.
But we've moved again, or we're moving again.
Yeah, again, this time it was for personal reasons, but I mean, it was supposed to be a decent move because I was going down back closer to New York City, and we were supposed to do a bunch of business in New York City. Like a lot of our customers that missed us or that we were too far from, they were all lining up. Plus, the moment I came down, I scored another 100 accounts. Like I scored one customer that had 100 bakeries. Now that account went bankrupt during the pandemic, so that was all for nothing. But things were really looking good for a moment there. It was so it was looking pretty good. So we came back down, and as we came back down, it's actually it was good. We're close to New York City. People are calling us. We're getting new customers. Our old customers are there. The people that miss us from the Adirondack store, they're starting to place orders online. Things are rolling. Then COVID hits. COVID hits for us because of the enormous volume we were doing for some of the big, like New York City customers. I had literally almost a tractor trailer worth of Easter bunnies that was due to go out the day that Cuomo announced he's shutting down the city. I never shipped it. They said they were not going to receive it. We never got paid for them. My big new customer went bankrupt, didn't pay us. A couple of other customers canceled last-minute orders, and we really got hit hard at that point right there. Now, we kind of sort of recovered. We got through it all. It wasn't fun. It cost me several $1,000s just to throw away the product that was rejected, throw away the packaging and all the stuff that I couldn't reuse. So, we were able to melt, the bunnies and stuff, but I wasn't able to reuse the bags, the bowls, the boxes, so that
Right.
cost. So that was like several $1,000s worth of stuff plus the cost of throwing it out. And then when because of what happened for Easter got really, really, really tough. Then the unemployment benefits came. It became tough to hire. I couldn't bring people on. So now my customers are trying to place large orders for Thanksgiving and for Christmas because they're trying to make up for what we lost for Easter, trying to keep us alive. But now I can't produce because I don't have staff. So now I'm working myself 15-hour days just to get through some summer Thanksgiving orders. And I'm really not enjoying it. But I forced myself. I hired some new people that are a ton of training. I forced myself. We got through it. We shipped everything out. What happens? Second wave gets here. The sales slump. We got paid. We were able to collect from almost everybody. Some, again, are really, really tough with us. But because the volume got because they weren't able to do a good sell-through because the second wave hit, the Easter orders were almost non-existent. So here we are during a 12-month cycle. One Easter is a disaster. Easter 60% of my business. Second
Right.
Easter is a disaster. I have trouble hiring. Why am I doing this? I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to wait 90, 120 days to get paid for an order that took me 3 months to produce. Like, I sometimes I have to start dishing out money for chocolate and for packaging 8 months before I see a return. I don't
Right.
want to more, especially when for almost 2 years, I'm not even making money. I'm going bankrupt. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. And I'm done. Well, for wholesale, I'm done.
And so this new endeavor is out of that whole debacle, right? So by the way, I looked up Warwick on a map. I know where it is.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty close to your friends, but I mean, hopefully we'll get along.
But I had to look. I didn't know where Warwick was. Now I do.
Well, you know what? If you get a chance to be passing through, please visit. It's a fun.
You know what? I'm going to be in Southern Connecticut the last weekend in August.
Well, you know what? I know you're not much of a fisherman, but I could totally take you fishing.
Yeah. Well, I'll explain in a squash tournament, so we'll figure out. We'll swing by. Maybe we'll have a cup of coffee.
You have a squash tournament where, in Connecticut?
Of course I have. Yeah, I don't have a. My daughter Olive's got a squash tournament in Connecticut. Of course. What else? Where else would you have a squash tournament than in Connecticut?
I am an immigrant. I'm first generation. When you say squash, I think of vegetable. I'm thinking vegetable. Thinking that yellow vegetable.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, so somebody just said it's so inspiring how you never give up. I mean, what is it about chocolate that? I mean, there are a couple things there that are like a lot of other people would have thrown in the towel, right, Victor? I mean, like, why do this new chocolate thing? Why not? I mean, you have a lot of skills and talents. We've talked about this before. I mean, the chocolate was a later thing in your life. Why not? Why keep moving forward with chocolate? What is it about chocolate that's so important?
I think I'm not going to say that it's just the chocolate by itself. When I'm working in the kitchen, when I'm creating, I kind of feel like a chef. So what I really enjoy most about the business, and what I used to enjoy when we did wholesale, is in the first few years, the way we were treated like artisans. When we went to business meetings, everybody was like so excited to meet with you. And it was like, they made you feel very special. Now, as we got bigger, everybody started to think we're industrial, so that kind of went away. But then when I did that little store in the Adirondacks, and I got firsthand interaction with customers, so being able for a person to walk in and ask me to make something specific for them, and then for me to make exactly what they wanted, exactly how they wanted it, it makes me feel good. So that's why chocolate. I mean, I'm guessing if I was a pastry chef, or if I made sandwiches, or I smoked ribs, I'm guessing I would enjoy it just as much. It just so happened that now I have 12 or 13 years experience making chocolates. So if you invested so much time learning something, why not keep doing it? Why not keep trying to get better at it? When the learning's not done, there's so much more to learn. It's like, it's crazy how much different stuff you could do with chocolate.
Right. So you mentioned your first generation in the United States. I mean, and we've talked a lot about food on this program too, in addition to chocolate. I mean, our first visit, like, you wanted to take me to this restaurant. Like, we're trying to get on an airplane. You're like, no. We got plenty of time to go to a restaurant. I'm like, okay, sure. But I mean, food's part of who you are too, right? Whether it's a family dinner or chocolate or whatever that is. I mean, is that ingrained because of some of that stuff?
Honestly, probably not.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's because of my connection to food. I would say it's because of my connection to customer service, that I really enjoy helping people. And, with this store that I'm trying to do now, which, by the way, we're kind of in it. You see this like chandeliers hanging up there? Mm-hmm. I bought them from the lady that just vacated the store. So I kind of asked her, I was like, can you please leave them? I want them hanging up in the front of the store. So here they are. So I'm actually sitting in this empty store, and let me turn around. Let me see. So this is the back of it. We're just starting construction. So this is going to be the production area where you see in the back. It's a tunnel. It's about, I would say 18 by 50 by 55. And then this is the store which is also about, I would say 18 by like 30 and change.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so what I'm hoping to accomplish in the store, what I'm really, what I'm really, what I really want to do is I want people to be able to walk in, and you know, since you looked up Warwick in this area, you know that I mean, this area is very well known for its farms, distilleries, and craft wine and beer makers. There is so many ingredients, literally walking distance from where I'm sitting right now. I could put together an entire box of chocolate just from the farmer's market across the street that's every Saturday here. So what I really want to be able to accomplish here is I want people to be able to bring in like their favorite bottle of wine or to bring in some berries that they picked on their farm and say, can
Mm-hmm.
you make me with them? And then, you know, and I'll be like, all right, you know what? Give me an hour, give me 2 hours, whatever it is, and you know, I'll come up with something. You know, this is I'm envisioning like a small town bakery pastry shop, but instead of bakery and pastry, I'm envisioning doing that with chocolate. That's what I hope to do. Of course, I'm going to do a ton of molding because for the holidays, you still got to have the Easter bunny. You know, and this time around, I'm going to fill them with Jelly Belly. So, like, you smash a bunny open, it's going to be pooping out little jelly beans. So then, why not, right? Everybody always asks, are they hollow or are they solid? I'm going to be like, they're a surprise. They're whatever you want them to be.
Yeah. If this winter is anything like last winter, start making your cocoa bombs now.
You know, I got to get those molds from you. And I still got to
Gotta
make
get them
sure
from
that,
somebody.
oh, you mean you don't have any?
No, we probably do. You know, it's not a shameless plug here. Like, I'm willing to accept there are other manufacturers in the industry, but yeah, I don't know. Do you think cocoa bombs are going to be like they were last winter?
I'm guessing it's going to be a 30 to 40% drop off. And I'm guessing within 2 years, cocoa bombs are going to go back to what they were before the fad. There were people making cocoa bombs 5 years ago, and 5 years ago, they couldn't sell any. All of a sudden, cocoa bombs are huge. But I think it's a fad. I don't think they're here to stay in such a big volume. They're still going to be around, but they're not going to be like the number one item. That's right.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think cocoa bombs were a direct link to COVID, right? Like people started making them at home. I mean, people like Kate Weiser were obviously making. She was making Carl longer
Forever
ago than that,
was
right?
making forever, right? What, 5, 6
But
years?
but she sells a lot of Carls. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, but I think people saw them and people thought they could make them at home, and they made one or two, and they realized that they needed 20 of them, and they couldn't make two at home. They couldn't make 20 at home. They could only make two. So I think that's part of it. I think it's going to evolve. I think there's going to be flavors and shapes and all that stuff.
A lot of people that I know in the industry, they were doing it last year. They were doing like 10 different flavors already. They were like,
Right.
they were coating them in different chocolates, putting sprinkles in them. They were doing like all kinds of stuff.
You're going to have your Halloween pumpkin spice in a pumpkin, you know, that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna have a Halloween. I'm gonna have my big ghost, my two-tone ghost, and it's gonna be full of cotton candy. It's gonna be a cotton candy ghost.
So you just showed us a construction site. When do you think you're going to be done?
You know, this stuff is very easy. It's like you gotta put some lights on, gotta do some plumbing, gotta, you know, just throw some money at it and stuff. You know, thankfully credit is easy to come by these days. So I'm just borrowing a bunch of money, hoping I won't go bankrupt. But I'm thinking,
So's your bank if you're borrowing a bunch of money.
as long as I make enough to pay the interest, I won't go bankrupt. You know, so, but I'm thinking I will be ready to work in this place in the next 6 weeks. And then it's a matter of whether or not the Department of Ag is going to come through in time to get me operational. Because, you know, everything is a little behind right now. Everybody's taking months like to get what?
I was agreeing with you that it's more than a little. It's
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to start calling them every day and I'm going to be like, please, 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 can you please come down? So, I mean, we're going to be doing that. So.
well, you are a persuader, Victor. Like you are good at persuading.
Not government agencies. That's that's. But I mean,
What
for anyone watching, as far as persuasion, if you gotta say, if you gotta do sales, sales is like a pretty straightforward thing. It's like just a straight up roadmap. You follow that roadmap, you can have 2,000 accounts before you know it. It's not about getting accounts. It's about whether or not you could maintain them and be profitable and not make people upset while you're doing it. That's all it is.
There it is. There's everybody's business lesson in like 3 paragraphs.
Dude, I'm not even kidding you. I thought it was a big secret. It's literally not. Just get a product, get to a trade show, and be persistent. And eventually, you score one client, you score two clients, and from there, it's going to snowball. As long as your product gets to the shelves in pristine condition and others see it, these people literally, they go from store to store to store, seeing what's on everybody's shelves around the holidays. They look at stickers, and then they call the manufacturer and the sticker. It's just snowballs. Make a good product, get it on the shelf, be persistent, success.
Hey, so what do you like making these days? I mean, I know you talked a little bit about all sorts of stuff, but like if you're going to create something for you, what are you creating right now?
Ganaches, like infused ganaches. I'm totally into boozy ganache. I'm totally into floral, like lilacs, like roses. Like totally into all that stuff. The stuff that's very difficult to get a good flavor from, because some come out too soapy, or in some the flavor is buried. So it's like I'm into, I guess you could say, gentle presentations. That's kind of my thing. So working with a lot of blends of milks and darks. I don't know.
What chocolate do you like these days? Because I know you've worked your way through a couple.
I did. My favorite to this day still stands. I like the Calabar milk. Calabar milk is one I can eat that literally just as a snack. So that's my favorite. That's my favorite as a milk. As a dark, I also like their 60/40, but I also like Belcolade, the D600. So those two I really like working with them. I say Calabar's easier to work with, but I have 10 years history with Belcolade, so I kind of use that too.
Yeah, it's a tough question, right? Like I get asked that question a lot, and like, I mean, I'm kind of privileged. There's probably 14 different chocolates in this building right now, but I I don't have a favorite anymore. I think I have the right chocolate for the right application, right?
If you got 14 chocolates in your factory right now, I mean in the building, chances are you say the wrong name because somebody else is going to be upset at you. You know? Oh, I thought mine
I don't
was.
even, but I don't even mean it like that. I just think that like, you know, there's there's a reason why there's so many different chocolates, right? I mean, there's obviously price, so put price on a separate pile, but flavor and workability and all that stuff is different for different people. Like what we need from chocolate is just different, right?
I would love to. I don't know. My experience has been that a lot of customers they'll walk in, and you'll tell them, "Listen, this is like the latest French chocolate. I infused it with lavender, and it has like crystallized lilacs on top of it, and blah blah blah." And they'll eat it, and I'm proud of myself because I'm giving them like an amazing texture, and my wife loves it. They'll eat it, and they'll be like, "Do you have anything with peanut butter?" It's like, I'm sorry, but I mean, peanut butter.
I'm here. I'm just kidding. I'm grabbing an example. So keep talking.
Yeah, so like literally peanut butter and booze are your go-tos. You can't go wrong with peanut butter and booze. It's like literally like as if there's not if you make booze and maybe some liquid caramels. Liquid caramels are very popular. There's nothing else you need to make. You can have a successful store with literally 3 products. I mean, that's
Okay.
okay. Are those like peanut butter balls or something?
These, okay, actually, hold on. I'll rewind. These are chocolate covered hazelnuts.
Okay,
They're pretty, aren't they?
they are.
You know what hazelnuts cost these days. We roasted these ourselves, like did a whole process to get them exactly the right roasted that we want. And then we've coated them in a nice dark milk, a milk chocolate with a little bit of dark thrown in to give it a little more body. Delicious.
Amazing.
Probably the cost on them is probably like $12 a pound or something. Just food cost.
Retail.
Okay. This scoop, chocolate covered peanut butter cereal.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you're gonna outsell 10 to 1. I'm guessing you're gonna sell 10 times as many.
If we sold them, yeah.
Sold them.
But we give them away, right? So you'll give somebody a sample of both, and what they come back for?
They'll come back for the peanut butter. Yep.
Peanut butter, and it's not even peanut butter. I mean, I gotta admit, I don't really care for peanut butter and chocolate. I'm like the only person in the United States that does not like peanut butter and chocolate together. Like, so I am not a good example, but still, yes. When in doubt, put peanut butter in it.
Peanut butter and booze. You can't go wrong. Peanut butter, booze.
Yeah, Beth is actually working on this new recipe that is this rum banana thing that's going to go with peanut butter. So it's like banana and peanut butter and rum. And so when we figure that out, we'll send you the recipe.
Well, please. You know, one of the weirdest combos that I ever bought. I bought this to taste from Maison du Chocolat. I bought vodka and caviar. They literally had a collection where half the bonbons were made with vodka and the other half the bonbons were made with caviar. The caviar ones were nasty. They were just like salty smoked fish. But when you bid the vodka and then you bid the caviar, it kind of worked, I guess, if you really if you really tried everything else in the world and now chocolate doesn't do it for you, you try vodka and caviar.
I would think you're the market for the vodka and caviar, though. I think if anybody's going to like the vodka and caviar, it's going to be you, Victor. Like,
I probably definitely some of my countrymen, but I don't know about me. I wasn't big on that. I mean, I kind of like caviar, but not with chocolate. I like them like a la carte.
I actually had somebody come to me recently about like helping them with a dried caviar recipe. I was like, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't even know how you market that.
I think it's something with caramel. It's something with a lot of burnt sugar. So there's this like salty, sweet thing. But other than that, I wasn't a lot of help. I was like, good luck with that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, again, you really, the business today, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel. If you're just, if you're personable and you treat your customers good and you got a store, anywhere you have a store, people will come to you. Just listen to what your customer tells you, make what they ask, and introduce some of your own stuff. Hopefully that stuff has a good margin. So like, you can make some extra money, and that's it.
I mean, you travel a good bit. I mean, you're around the chocolate world a lot. Who are some people that are doing some things that you like right now?
I gotta think. I mean, I'm not much of a bean to bar guy, but pretty much the only real innovation I've seen going on is like bean to bar, and and a lot of that THC / CBD stuff going on. That's picking up steam a lot. But other than that, I haven't seen really any major innovation. Like everybody jumped on that make dessert in the bonbon thing where they're doing 3-4 layers and people are loving it. Sure, yeah, they're loving it, but I think they would love it just as much if every piece was a lot simpler too. I don't think it's a major selling point. Maybe for online, for Instagram, not for your direct customer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pastry chef originally, right? I mean, and so I think I want there to be texture and flavor and like I want a lot of stuff, but it becomes difficult when you're talking about 8 grams, right? What do you do with 8 grams or 10 grams for that matter? I mean, it becomes challenging when you're trying to sort of cram all that stuff into a little space, right? But I don't disagree with you. Like I think a great caramel, and whether it's my cup of tea or not, a great peanut butter cup go a long way to getting customers that are interested in what you're doing, right?
Yeah, that, a little bit of local stuff. I do agree with you. I also want crunch, and I want texture, and I want difference. But I don't necessarily want them in one piece. For example, if I'm having a caramel, like if I'm having like not a liquid caramel, but if I'm having like a soft, chewy caramel, I don't want any other texture there except for the chocolate and caramel and maybe a little bit of salt. Like I don't want another crunchy layer somewhere on there. It's not for me. Just not for me.
Right.
But if I have a box in front of me and the box has 15, 16, 20 pieces, and if all the pieces are just smooth ganache, that's not going to cut it for me. I'm going to get bored. So I feel like if you have several pieces inside the box, some should be crunchy, some should be smooth, some should be liquidy, and some should have nuts. And that way you satisfy most of your cravings in one box. And then if you really want to binge on a specific flavor, you go back to the chocolatier and you say, give me a pound of that. You know?
You know, most people would say that like they're not going to eat the whole pound box, but like I'm going to tell this story. So the first time that I go to New York, well, probably not the first time I go to New York to spend time with Victor at EMVI in Brooklyn. Victor and I go on this like whirlwind tour of chocolate in New York, starting in Brooklyn and working our way like through Midtown, ending up at Bouchon, right in the time, is it the Time Warner building, whatever that is? Because
Columbus Circle.
Columbus Circle, because there's a night market that you want to show me like chocolate. So it's at the holiday season where it's like the night market in Columbus Circle, and then we go into the Time Warner, the Time building, the Time whatever it is, right?
Okay.
It's and so we go up and we go to Bouchon.
Yep.
And you walk up to the counter and you order like 2 cups of coffee and a box and the biggest box of chocolate they have.
But we shared it. We shared.
Right. And then we sit down at a table and we eat this entire box of chocolate. Like we've been eating all day. And you're like, no, you got to try this one. No, you got to try this one. What do you think about this one?
We were walking all day.
No. We were not walking all day. We were
What kind?
Anyway. Either way, it's now like 10 o'clock at night. And, you know, they're trying to kick us out. We're like, hold on, we got like 4 more pieces to eat. Right. It's like, hold on, wait.
Yeah, but that wasn't a 1 pound box. That was like a 25 piece or something.
I don't know. It was a lot of chocolate, Victor. That's all I'm saying. It was a lot of chocolate. And so, I mean, I think you always have wanted to sort of see what the whole picture looked like from somebody. You know, you wanted to understand like that whole thing. And you and I've had correspondence through the years about like, you don't look at one piece by itself. You kind of look at it as how it fits in the whole thing, the whole team. You don't really care about the pitcher. You care about the whole, you know, the whole lineup. In my weird sports analogy there.
Yeah,
you know.
Right. That's exactly how I look at it.
And somebody's like, well, saying you can't take it home. We didn't take it home. We ate all of it. We ate the whole box and we left it. Like we left this beautiful, you know, per se box, you know, on the table when we were done.
Yeah, but we did share it. It wasn't like we didn't have a box each. We had one box, so we shared. And it wasn't 1 pound. It was like 25 pieces. So maybe it was what, like maybe 250 grams. I don't know. It was kind of small. It wasn't that bad. I've done worse.
It seems like a lot.
I've eaten an entire Jacques Torres box by myself. And I've eaten an entire Christopher Elbow box by myself. I've eaten an entire Richard T box. I've eaten almost everybody's box by myself. Like literally. I mean, you just
research.
Exactly. You kind of start. You sample 1. You sample 2. Little by little, to get away from you. You know. Man, when I was really focusing on making my own ganaches, when I got the raspberry and raspberry, my raspberry is one of my favorites that I do. When I got my raspberry right, and when I got the Cabernet Franc, one of my wines is also my favorite. When I got those right, I could eat like, well, just being at work, I could eat 15 pieces in a day, like munching on them. It was like, you know, instead of lunch, you kind of lunch on it all day. It's really good.
I just had a chocolate covered hazelnut.
Okay, you know, if it was me there, I would have had 3, but it would have been peanut butter. I probably would have skipped the hazelnuts, but you know, just not a big fan.
I worked for a Swiss company for a while. Everything was hazelnut.
I think literally almost every European company, everything is hazelnut. Hazelnut is the thing. But
yeah, they used to send us innovation for the year. Like they'd send like a dozen new pralines to see what we thought we could sell in the United States, and like 10 of them would be chocolate and hazelnut. It's like, how about something without hazelnut? Anything?
Either,
You decide something other than hazelnut.
the interesting thing is if somebody would suggest to them to do a peanut butter, that person would probably get like ran out of the room and fired. But then if they actually listened to them and they introduced it, they would make a ton of money and then would take all the credit and the person would still be fired.
Yeah, we did. So this is 2003, maybe. I don't know. It's a long time ago. It's hard to believe it was like almost 20 years ago. But we did a line of like we did their innovation for them, and we did a line of spices. So there was like cayenne and paprika and curry and all this stuff, right? And we ship it over to Europe, and they like send us like this, I don't know, telegram back because no, it was an email, but it was long ago. There was like, what are you guys thinking? This is never going to sell. And it's like, how about you make it? Here are the recipes. Ship it back to us, and we'll see if it sells. And it did okay. It was a little ahead of its time, but yeah, they weren't big on having us create for them. They really wanted to own. They were Swiss. They wanted their own stuff created by them, not us.
I mean, that's their choice. I mean, that is what it is. I mean, here, what is it? Was it Lindt that bought Russell Stover, right? Lindt took over Russell Stover. They went the American route. They're doing great.
Well, they're all owned by that Turkish company, right? I think.
No, I think Lindt bought Russell Stover.
Yeah, but Lindt and Ghirardelli's are owned by somebody else too now.
I didn't know that. I thought they were still like European or like Swiss owned or something.
Well, I mean, they're involved.
Okay.
I mean, the Lindt corporate headquarters are in Switzerland, but they're owned by another company.
Well, I didn't know all that history, but I just know that since they bought Russell Stover, Russell Stover's better.
Yeah.
Out of regular grocery store chocolates, like the stuff you could get into like Walmart, for example, Russell Stover is actually very impressive. It's a good cheap snack. The caramels are delicious. Just grab some, and when on a budget, that's my go-to.
All right. So, what's the next fishing location this summer before you get open? Your last, big soiree before you leave, or before you get open.
Okay, so I have a fishing partner down here. He is on me every other day. He wants to go to Buffalo. He wants to bring his boat. He wants to go to Buffalo, and he wants to spend like a week. So I basically told him that as soon as all the contractors here are in line, where I know that all the major work I need done is done, and when all I'm doing is waiting for the Department of Ag to show up, I'm there. I'm going to shoot over. I'm guessing the big fishing trip this year is going to be a week in Buffalo, and I'm guessing maybe first week in September, right before things.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's the big fishing location.
It's coming up fast. That's only 4 weeks away.
I have 2 weeks worth of plumbing and electrical, 2 weeks of painting and flooring, and after that, all I have to do is get your equipment in. Sell me equipment from Tom. Hopefully, it's already been tested and works and all that great stuff. And then I just have to wait for Ag. While I'm waiting for Ag, I'm gonna go play fisherman in Buffalo.
Cool. Stop by. We'll be here.
I definitely will. Maybe I'll learn something new.
Hey, so because I ask this question to everybody, you get date night with that doctor in your life, and you're at the counter buying your popcorn and your drink, and you're going to buy some mass market chocolate. What do you buy?
Mass market chocolate today. Mass market chocolate, like I said a little earlier, I'm guessing Russell Stover.
No, you got to get like a Snickers bar or something. You're at the movie theater.
Oh, you mean one of those at the movie theater?
Yeah, like a movie theater. You got to get movie theater candy because you're at the movie theater.
I'm getting two. I'm getting two things. I'm getting fish and I'm getting Sour Patch Kids. Swedish fish.
No chocolate. So no chocolate.
No chocolate.
No Snickers bar, no Kit Kat bar, nothing. Swedish fish and Sour Patch Kids.
Actually, 3 days ago, that's exactly what I got. I got Swedish fish, Sour Patch Kids. That's like the go-to. Because I have all this chocolate. Right now, even I'm closed, I have like several hundred pounds of chocolate in my garage. And I just got some samples from Calabar this morning. I mean, I have all the chocolate I want. So, and who else did we have? chocolate. Yeah, I think we had a box of chocolate from somebody recently. I'm trying to remember. It was a pretty decent box. Oh, we got some Vosges. We got some Vosges. My wife, for Father's Day, she bought me chocolates that she really wanted to try. So
That was
apparently,
nice of her.
yeah, yeah. So apparently, Vosges had this new like boozy chocolates that's some bourbon and some whiskey, and she was like, "Oh, you really? I know you like your boozy chocolates, so let me get that for you." I was like, "Great."
All
So she got it for me. I didn't even get to try them. They ate it all themselves.
right. Plug away. Your turn to plug whatever you want.
What do you mean?
Like you can like talk about Warwick Chocolate Company. You can talk about your web address. You can talk about whatever you want. This is the payoff for doing this. You get a chance to like give an ad.
Okay, I get. Okay, so an ad. All right. So everybody, I wasn't really expecting to have to give an ad. I kind of
You
just.
don't have to. You can. So you're here through your new company's called.
My new company is called Warwick Chocolate Company. The web address is warwickchocolate.com. Now, it's still a work in progress, but I think it's looking okay for now. The goal for this company is within maybe 6 months or so of opening, I want to put together a collection that fully incorporates local farms and local distillers and local craft brewers. So basically, I want an entire box where there's going to be a little map of the area, and on a map with little stars, I'm going to mark exactly where I got the ingredients, and I'm going to have those ingredients. If I can sell them in the store, I will sell them. If I can't, I will at least have them displayed in the store next to the pieces of chocolate. So I want people locally to walk in and to be like, oh my God, all this stuff is made with ingredients that I could walk across the street and buy, or I could drive to a farm and buy. That's that's my motivation behind the store. And on top of that, yes, I do want to make Easter bunnies that are full of cotton candy, or they're full of jelly beans and stuff. I do want to make cool stuff like that. You know, maybe fill some smaller pieces with liquid caramel, where you could bite a bear in half and he's oozing caramel. Which I've been seeing a lot of bears. There's so many bears in this area, it's insane. The other day, I took the kids for a walk. We're walking through a park, and the kids are like, "Dad, how come we never see any bears when we like hanging out with you?" I was like, "I don't know, because you guys are always loud and you're fighting and you're screaming." And literally a few minutes later, my middle one is yelling at the top of her lungs at the little one, and I hear like a big snap in the woods. I look to her right, maybe 80 yards away, there's a mama bear with two cubs. The kids later told me they saw a third cub, but I didn't because I was too busy getting my bear spray ready. Because whenever you see a bear with two cubs and you got my wild kids running around, I was a little bit, concerned.
Yeah, I don't carry bear spray. It's not something that I normally walk around with.
When is the last time you saw? Oh yeah, Lulubelle Farms. I make tons of bears. I make a fisherman bear. I make a bear with a heart. I make a bear with ice cream. I had a bear with a beer mug. Like I make so many bears. I
You
mean,
do make some bears.
yeah. If you look at the Facebook page, or if you look back at Instagram, you'll see a lot of bears we make. Yeah, bears are like our thing. We see a lot of them around here. You don't see any bears in Buffalo, huh?
No.
No.
And I don't like go outside. Like I'm an indoor guy. There are no bears inside. I just don't have to worry about bears. I don't worry about bears. I don't worry about bugs. Generally I'm an indoor guy.
I went to visit some of my friends locally about a week ago, and they just moved to the area, and they're kind of like back in the woods. And I was like, "Have you guys seen any bears yet?" And they're like, "No, there's no bears here." Like, why? Why are there bears? I'm like, "Yeah, you have a ton of bears here." Nope. I drive away from them. I drive half a mile, and I almost ran one over. He jumped out from the bushes right under my car. I was like, so I made a video. I sent the video to them. They're like, "Do these things follow you around?" This is the scariest.
Yeah.
The scariest was on Overlook Mountain, not far from in Chocolate Chocolate. I kind of. You still there?
I'm still here. You disappeared for a minute. You're good.
Yeah. What is that chocolate company called? It's I think the guy's name is also Brian.
Oh, at Fruition?
Yeah, Fruition. So we were like literally hiking about 7 miles away from Fruition. We don't hike that often, but every time we do stop by the store and buy some stuff. I do like them. They're very, I would say probably the best in the Hudson Valley, and probably maybe in the New York State. I really like them. But so we're hiking on that mountain. It's called Overlook Mountain, and the kids found like a little butterfly that they're looking at. I walk over to them. I look down. I turn around and I make a sudden movement, and all of a sudden, the biggest bear I've ever seen in my life. He's like the size of that rhino you got in the Buffalo Zoo. He was at least 600 pounds. He was right behind us, like 20 feet in the bushes, and I guess he got scared because I made a sudden move. He rolled downhill so fast that I got scared. He literally just went and bam, he flew down the mountain. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. This is why I don't go outside, bears.
so instead of making a sales speech about a pitch about my chocolate company, I'm talking about bears.
We're talking about bears. All right. So anyway, Warwick Chocolate Company, you can catch them out on Instagram. They're working on their website. They're going to be open, hopefully the early October, if all goes according to plan. You remember Victor Gelman from places like EMVI Chocolate before. And Victor, thanks for joining me today.
Brian, anytime. Hope to see you in person end of the month, maybe beginning of next.
Maybe Sunday the 28th in the afternoon.
Listen, if I catch a big salmon, we're cooking it. We're smoking it. We're cooking it. We're doing something, right?
All right, I'll let you know. Like it depends how well she does in the tournament when we go home.
Oh wait, right. You're gonna be in
Darien.
Right. 28th, you're gonna be in Darien, but
We'll come across the Tappan Zee Bridge, and we'll go that way.
Tappan Zee? You mean the
Cuomo Bridge, whatever it's called now.
Yeah, you know, I've heard more about the bridge than I've heard about anything else. Like,
It was the Tappan Zee Bridge for longer than it was the Cuomo Bridge.
You know, well, anyway, it's not up to us to decide what it's going to be called moving forward, but it is.
It's definitely not going to be called the Andrew Cuomo Bridge anytime soon.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that note, we won't get into New York politics. Victor, thanks a bunch for joining me. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks. Bye, Brian.
We'll catch up at some point soon. All right.